We need reparations, we need vacations, we need blue strips for all the time we spent waiting. We gon' kill for what we owe, Joe, we not playing. Mr. President, I think it's time we get paid. I watch all of my people die. Why your people try to act like we commit crime? Get killed on TV, got our kids scared to go outside. It's time you pick a side. Before we turn this bitch up, Mr. President better fall in line. Yeah, we don't need loans, we need what we owe. We need police to stop killing sisters inside their home. And when it happened and we burn this bitch down, they need to stop telling us we was wrong. Ay, and we need unity. We need the government to stop bringing drugs in our community. They better stop playing, we not the ones. You got guns and we got guns. Who kill us, you play with our funds. Yeah, how we supposed to restore when they won't give us more? When they got knees on our necks when we walk out the store. How we heal when they go to the park, kill a 12-year-old boy. For killing, we ready for war. Yeah, and we need reparations, we need vacations, we need blue strips for all the time we spent waiting. We gon' kill for what we owe, Joe, we not playing. Mr. President, I think it's time we get paid.
Peace, peace. Greetings to you all. It's your brother Naheem, BKA Lord Abba, AKA Mr. Just the Facts. Mr. Just the Facts family, today we have a BTP exclusive interview with Sister Cheree Peoples. For those of you who are not familiar with her story, she is one of the sisters that was locked up under Kamala Harris's modified truancy, California truancy law. I'm going to call it a modified form of that law. The sister is going to come on and break it down even more. And you know, this sister was embarrassed and perk walked in front of the world, particularly all of California, to see. I got my sister Roz coming on. There she go. Got my sister Roz coming on. Peace, peace. What's going on, Sister Roz?
Peace. What's going on, brother? What's going on, brother? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. You a little distant, distant sounded, but I can hear you though.
How about now?
A little bit better. Definitely a
That's
little bit better.
Okay.
Indeed, indeed. So as you all see, we got our sister Roz in the building. DMV freedmen are on deck. Shout out to all of the freedmen across the country. You already know what time it is, man. We gonna have a discussion today. We want to delve into these policies of California. And if we're asking this person, this woman, to be our president, how do we know that she's not going to try to take these same approaches, right? Sister Roz, you know, they talked about Project 25, Project 2025. We did a breakdown on Project 2025 on this show. And yes, some of those measures were extremely draconian. Even Trump himself said some of that stuff was too extreme. But what Kamala did in California, I mean, it seemed like a page right out of Project 2025. Introduce yourself, Sister Roz, and then we're going to bring our Sister Cheree on.
How's everybody doing? I am the executive director of By the People Media and the DMV Freedmen. DMV Freedmen, we work here in D.C., Washington, D.C., that is, Maryland and Virginia. And we care about policy. We care about policies that affect our citizens, that affect our people, and we're pushing for that. So we really don't go on color like the red, vote blue no matter who, vote red no matter who. We go based upon policies and we look at that. And hopefully people understand that this is what we're all about, is looking at the policies that are going to assist and aid our people. We're advocating for our people. So sometimes people get upset when you ask about policy. We take all of the emotion out of it and focus on the policy, because that's how you handle business. You can't go based upon your emotional responses. You have to go based upon logic and what works and what doesn't. So that's
yes,
it.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. So look, without further ado, let's bring our guest on, Sister Cheree Peoples. Hello, how you doing? Welcome to Be the Power. We are elated to have you on and for you to be able to tell your story to our audience, most of whom are very, very deep into politics. Please introduce yourself, sis.
Hi, my name is Cheree Peoples, and I am here in California enjoying this hot weather that we have. But yeah, just enjoying the day.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
And you guys
indeed.
are freezing up a little bit on my side. So if it's a
Okay.
delay, it's because you're freezing. So
Okay.
my apologies early in advance.
It's cool because it's happening on our side as well. It may be StreamYard. I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but I mean, who knows? Like, oh no, they're about to knock our candidate down the peg. I don't know. I'm just saying. But let's get right into it. I think you know what, Roz. I think I want to start by playing this video clip of Kamala and another woman who is out there in California that may be affected or may have been affected by these draconian truancy laws that Kamala Harris and her office was pushing. So let's start there, and then you lead right in with the questions. Let's start there. And fam, wait, real quick, let me do some housekeeping. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Please hit the like button, share the video out. I know we're gonna have a lot of people on Twitter watching, like we always do. We're asking everybody that's on Twitter to come on over to the YouTube channel. Click like on the YouTube channel, subscribe, hit that little bell icon next to the subscribe button so that you can become a part of the notification nation and be informed every time BTP goes live and drops its dynamic content. So let's go.
So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy. Well, this was a little controversial in San Francisco. And frankly, my staff went bananas. They were very concerned because we didn't know at the time whether I was going to have an opponent in my reelection race. But I said, look, I'm done. This is a serious issue, and I've got a little political capital, and I'm going to spend some of it. And this is what we did.
I think it's rough because I asked the attendance officer, could she help me or give me some, make up some hours or whatever I can do. And she told me that she didn't care and hung up on me.
These districts that get federal funds are required to not only accommodate these parents so that their child can be in a traditional education, but to make reasonable adjustments in their policy, which can include attendance.
Now, the school district superintendent says this is an extreme case and action simply needed to be taken. Worst case scenario for Andrea Black, she could go to jail and her son could be put in foster care. She says she is desperately hoping that that doesn't happen.
All right. How are you doing today, Miss Peoples?
I am doing pretty good. I'm hanging in there. Can't complain. My daughter just got
Uh,
out the hospital yesterday, so it's been pretty busy for me.
all right. I was going to ask you how she's doing. I see she's an artist, quite the artist. I should have put my. You make me. I need to put my backdrop up with some of her artwork. So that's beautiful. Did she do the artwork?
Oh no, not this artwork behind me. That wasn't her. My daughter likes to sing and she loves theater, so she's my theater person. So yeah, that's Shayla. She loves to sing, she loves to dance, she loves to do all those good things. So
Oh, wonderful. That's look. Hidden talent that I have hidden. I can't sing at all. So
yeah, she has a pretty voice and she loved doing her interviews. So when she was at the hospital as a minor, they had a whole program dedicated for children so they can learn different things to help them cope with their illness and be able to, we call it like the therapy programs that they had at the hospital, which was truly
yeah.
amazing that they have. So yeah, that was a blessing in disguise sometimes because they allow her to be a kid despite the things that we were going through.
All right. I wanted to ask you about Shayla. Can you share with us before any of this comes up? Let's learn about you and your daughter, Shayla. You're a single mom. Shayla is your daughter. Can you tell us about her condition? Would you be
Um,
willing to share with us?
Yes, of course. So Shayla have sickle cell anemia, which is one of the oldest hereditary conditions in the world. It's very painful. It has no cure. It affects every single major organ in the body, from the all the way from the tip of your head to the bottom of your toes. She suffered a massive stroke during the my truancy trial, because I was in trial for 2.5 years for the arrest of my truancy. I had to go to criminal court for that, not any truancy court. It was actually criminal court. But sickle cell is very painful. It's a condition that varies day to day. She requires a full hip replacement now. She has AVN, which is vascular necrosis. So on top of the sickle cell, she also have other diagnoses that affects her health too.
All right. Thank you for sharing that with us. Now, with that being known, I'm sorry that she has to, you all have to deal with that. And I'm wishing you all the best in having to power through that. I know that sickle cell, as it was explained to us, I know it's extremely painful, and the cells, instead of them being rounded, they're pointed, and that actually has to get through her veins and arteries. And I mean, I really, you know, I mean, I really see that you're her angel, and she's your angel, and you guys team
Yes,
up together to power through this. So
yes,
definitely.
yes.
Now, mhm. I was
What
going
I
to
was
say,
going to
you told, go ahead. I'm sorry.
what I was going to say, not just with sickle cell, but the sickle cell trait is also a big part in this, because I have the trait. And like I said before, sickle cell is hereditary. So, due to my trait and her father having the trait, commits us to having a child with sickle cell anemia. It's only a 25% chance that your child can have it. There's another 50% chance that 25% chance of trait, and a 50% chance of nothing at all. But the blessing with sickle cell trait is, which nobody really talks about, is the fact that I will not die because of malaria. So the good thing about the sickle cell trait, one of the good things actually, not all of it is good, but on this side of the spectrum is the fact that it saved our race. It saved the species from dying. From basically, it took a gene, mutated itself in order to save a species. No other race has been able to do such thing, because malaria was killing us off way back when, in our ancestry days. So again, sickle cell, the trait, our gene was manipulated to save the humankind, the race of us, because we were dying so dramatically behind malaria. So that's just a little of the back end and the backstory regarding the trait, and regarding sickle cell anemia as a whole, is because two parents made, and unfortunately for me, I was not aware that I was actual carrier until I had my daughter.
Mhm. Now, when you went to your school and you knew that she would be out, I mean, of course, it's HIPAA regulations, but the school nurse would know, and possibly the administrators would know, that she would be out to have medical treatments and to have therapy. So, what happened? How would that go from you telling the nurse and you telling administrators that your daughter has sickle cell, and you would be in any kind of trouble for that? Like, if she's out, okay, we understand she's out and why. Can you tell
Well,
us what happened?
Well, in the beginning, from the beginning, we always have meetings. So my daughter has what they call a 504 reasonable accommodation plan in place. That has been in place ever since kindergarten, first grade. Having a child with sickle cell or any kind of extreme condition, you have people in place on the medical side to help you navigate the school system. They will give you documents, they will sign documents proving the illness, etc., etc. With Shayla, me having it documented, we have meetings, it's a plan in place. I call the doctors, and there's a letter that was given indicating that Shayla will be missing school due to medical reasons. She can miss school at any given time due to pain crisis. So all of these things was documented, which is based off a day by day basis. So it's hard to have a plan when one day she can be okay, tonight she has a fever, and tomorrow I'm in the hospital. So things can happen very, very fast with sickle cell. I will get up and monitor her in the middle of the night because she would stop breathing in her sleep. So then I found out she had sleep apnea. So there is daily challenges. So I was on the phone at least once or twice a week with the doctors regarding my child, whether she has jaundice in the eyes, whether she was feeling extreme pain and none of her home meds were working. It was always constant communication with the doctor. And the thing about it is, it's like if you had a headache and you wasn't feeling good and you call the doctor and you say, hey doc, I'm not feeling good today, and he says, okay, go ahead and take your medicine, drink clean of fluids, stay home for today, give me a call tomorrow. They're not going to give you a doctor's note per se right there because you made a phone call. A lot of the calls that we do is phone calls. We are not taking them in just because they're in pain. We are instructed a actual plan to say, call us first. We will instruct you what to do. So it was those phone calls that I would make at 3 o'clock in the morning to the doctor exchange. And it wasn't being documented that I called, or it wasn't in the mainframe system because the schools have access. They can ask you to provide, doctor's documentation, medical records. They have the rights to talk because I gave them that access, but they never did their due diligence. So when you have a chronically ill child that's in and out the hospital and under doctor care 24 hours, I shouldn't have been mandated to have doctor's notes for every single time that she has to be home with me, because that was the issue, being home with me under my care.
Well, even with that 504, as you stated, and if she were to miss a day, and I'm saying this as a teacher, so if you were to say she were to miss a day and they didn't have it as an excuse day, in my district, they're supposed to call you that same day and said that she was not there. Did you receive any type of notification like that?
Well, again, I'm in the hospital. So it's not all the time that I was available to answer the phone, or if if the phone call went through, if I even had the money to pay my cell phone bill, because during the time, this was way before her stroke and my income was very minimal. So it was hard at times because I was homeless. I wasn't necessarily 100% stable, especially after my arrest. So it was very difficult. And my goal was always to become self-sufficient. So that was the reason why I was going to school. I wanted to be a nurse. I was on my way through nursing school, became a medical front office, back office, a phlebotomist, so I can figure out and be self-sufficient. So trying to do all of these things and caring for my daughter, taking her to the hospital, it was very, very overwhelming with no support.
Let me let me
Absolutely.
let me
Go
jump in
ahead, Brother.
real quick, because you're giving us some background about yourself, your condition. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Willowbrook, actually, in between Compton and Watts. It's a
Mm-hmm.
little bitty strip right there. That's very special to me. Now it's Magic Johnson Park is in the area. It's the only West Coast University, medical university, King Drew Medical University is in Willowbrook. So yeah, I'm very proud to be from Willowbrook.
Now, the reason why I ask you that, I'm pretty certain, you being from California, you're familiar with the Bay Area, you're familiar with the city of Oakland, correct?
A little
A
bit.
little
So
bit.
I'm in Southern California. Oakland is
Mhm.
up north, which
Up
is
north, definitely.
pretty distant, almost a state apart.
Mhm.
But I'm familiar a little bit with Oakland, not too much because I'm really Southern California.
So, and the reason why I asked that is because we grew up in these neighborhoods. Oakland being, Oakland has the hood up there as well. And I want to play this clip because when you were speaking about the things that we as American freedmen, this is how we identify ourselves as freedmen, go through. It reminded me of an interview that Kamala was doing with the rapper Luke, that from the Two Live crew, that introduced the debauchery into hip hop music. So I want to play this real quick, and then we keep this conversation flowing. But this was very telling to me.
Being that you from the same hood that I'm from, which Miami is no different than Oakland, no different than Baltimore.
So, and that was a short clip, right? And she's giving affirmation, knowing that she grew up in I believe Montreal, Canada. She did not grow up in Oakland, California. Has she grown up in Oakland, California, there's a possibility that she would understand your story and not push for the draconian laws that she pushed for. I want to throw it back to you, Roz, unless you want to speak to that, Cheree. Mhm.
Oh, go ahead. I'm
Yeah,
listening.
go ahead, Sister Roz. If you wanted to
Oh,
go back with the questions.
okay, yeah, I wanted to just say that's what you and your daughter had to endure before this law even came up. You
Yes.
had done your due diligence in order to prepare. You actually went out and you got your paperwork in order. You spoke to the school. They knew her condition. They knew that she would be missing days, many days. Now, what kind of accommodations did the school make to help you?
That was a fight also because this district was fairly new to me. So we transferred from one school to another. So I was really working off the old 504, waiting for a new meeting to take place. But the accommodations was for her to have water at her desk, be able to use the restroom whenever it's possible, be able to have her medications on hand, which was kind of difficult because she was on narcotics and they not able to dispense narcotics. So I had to be available to give her meds. So the accommodations was just mainly that from my recollection. Um, a lot of it didn't change until she had her massive stroke when she was 13. So because the crisis is which make my daughter disabled, which is when she's home with me. So they wouldn't see her when she's in a massive crisis because at that time she need to go to the hospital. So the type of disability, the type of illness that my daughter is dealing with has to deal with a lot of pain. She's in excruciating pain. When I say I can't even touch my baby as bad as she hurt. I can barely put water on her. So the feeling of water hitting her legs is very painful for her. Walking was very painful. I had to carry her on my back, going down a flight of stairs. I didn't have any supportive services before her stroke. So her stroke made it physical. So now physically, she's unable and physically paralyzed on her right side, which gave me access at that time to more services. But prior to that, because it's more medically based, all they can do or anybody can do is give her pain medicine. And if anything more than that, she's going to be in the hospital.
And of course, yeah, they can't even issue anything. Like I know about that. You can't as a people say, well, why don't you guys as teachers give them their medication? I'm like, I can't give medication.
No, you
They have
can't.
to go to the nurse.
And then our meds
Yeah,
were
and the
given
nurse
every
can't give it.
the medications was given every 3 to 4 hours, alternating the meds. So she's very drugged. So you want me to bring my half sleep, comatose, in pain child to school when she can't even focus because she hurt, and that's all she can say is, I hurt, mom, I hurt.
Now, this was the law that was SB Senate Bill 1317 that at that time was an Attorney General Kamala Harris, California Attorney General Kamala Harris had set up. And what did that? I mean, in reading it, what it is, what did that Senate bill set up for you parents? I mean, we were parents, even though your child has the documentation, even though your child is going through this, nobody, I mean, it's very difficult for me as somebody that goes out of the way for my parents and my kids, right? It's very difficult for me to understand why the school didn't go that extra mile to reach out to you to see what they can do as far as being able to help you and your daughter. But
I don't
what resulted in that?
I don't really know what was going through. First of all, it was re-election year for the DA, and they're always trying to find ways to capitalize off of things. Schools is a political thing. It's a taxpayer dollars. So the taxpayers have interest in the school district. So because of that, it's an economic thing. It's a money pot thing. And it's something that the initiative of 2011 that she did in the in San Francisco, and then she took it to the state to make it statewide. And then you have all of these people who support the bill. It's not a people policy. So it's something that she gathered. She did an initiative on. She did the research. She got money to do the research because her goal was to be tough on crime. Okay, and be tough on crime is to be tough on parents, because she felt like at the end of the road, the parents is the reason we can scare them to make them act right, to get their kids in place. But this criminal side, it's actually targeting elementary school parents. So understand, at the end of the day, there's different components and different levels to this law, and it's really for elementary school age parents, the little tiny bits, to get them together. So therefore they won't be high school dropouts if they can get the parents on board. But it's just not meant to be criminalized. We shouldn't be criminalized, especially if we're working towards trying to fix a problem. I was in the midst of advocating for my child. It wasn't like I wasn't advocating. It wasn't like I was just ignoring. I was approaching the principal. I was going to him. What's going on with these letters? Why am I getting this? Why am I getting that? And there's, oh, it's okay. Nothing's going on. Okay, so in my mind, I'm over here trying to get her medical component going together, making sure I'm crossing my T's, dotting my I's, talking to this principal, but I'm still getting letters like, why? Oh, it's automatically generated. So those are the responses that I was getting from the administrators, when clearly they probably didn't understand what sickle cell is. And where I'm at in Orange County, it's not a lot of African Americans here. Where I was from, which is in LA, you know, in between Compton and Watts, it's way more prominent African American, and they can be more knowledgeable maybe about sickle cell. But in retrospect, it made it seem like if this condition did not exist, I created it out of thin air, and there's no way that she can look like this picture behind me and look the way she do and be this sick. It's something that you're doing. It's like if I was, you know, the parent that feed their children stuff to make them sick. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
That to me, when I'm like, why would I be wasting my time sitting up here in the ER for 16 hours waiting for a bed and letting them know I got to go to work and I can't sit here any longer? You know, so and it's crazy on how they were not necessarily just criminalizing me, but criminalizing my daughter. They wanted her to see probation officers. They wanted her to have and literally take her to the police station. That's what they wanted me to do. Like, you need to bring her down here so basically we can get her right. You know,
Let me
like
ask.
the good old master need to put you in line, and we're gonna sit here and look at these people hung right here. It was like that. We're gonna scare you. And that's what they did. They tried to, because I went to the SARD meeting, which was after my arrest.
Let me ask real quick, the makeup of the school, from the students to the teachers, was it predominantly other people, Hispanics? Okay.
So it was still considered on the lower income class in Orange County. So we have what we call South County. So I know everybody heard of the Orange County Housewives, you know, and that's kind of the picture that most people would think about when they think of Orange County. But we still have a part of Orange County that's what they call Northern Orange County, that has more of the lower income threshold.
So instead of getting you the proper services, someone to help you, a social worker, a counselor to come and see what you needed, they decided to just slap a Munchausen by proxy on you and make it look like you were doing something to hurt your daughter rather than trying to help you.
Right. At the end of the day, for me, in a way, I felt like the school system was forced to, but they didn't give up the information that they should have regarding my daughter. They never disclosed that my daughter had a 504 plan, and they never disclosed that she had sickle cell to the DA. So the administrators, the principal of the school, and the DA came to the district saying, hey, give me all your people that are missing X, Y, and Z days. And they still submitted my name based off of the request from the DA's office.
And
So
that 504 should have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
the 504 should have protected my
Should have
daughter,
protected you.
but it
Yes.
does not protect me. So understand, the 504 is for the person with disabilities. I'm not the one with the disability, but I am the one advocating for her. So I felt, in my own personal opinion, I should have been under that umbrella also, as her parent advocating for her. But as I don't have that parental rights when it comes to the school, because when your child is in school, you know you're limited within that time frame. We are mandated. We are mandated at the end of the day. And it's all governed through policy, which is like one of the policies that I went through when it comes to truancy. We are governed through policy. And that is the most important thing that I want people to understand. It's the policy in which that made it difficult, because they criminalized it. I had to go through criminal court, and our truancy court. My daughter didn't have to go to court. I had to. I couldn't work. I couldn't get a job. I got fired from a job because they found out that I was in criminal court. And it just was a hot mess for 2.5 years. And no parent should have to go through that, especially ones who has to prove their child's condition, or feel as if their child was being bullied and they're trying to find ways and avenues to help their child. Or they may have a learning disability and it hasn't been diagnosed yet. Maybe they have a behavioral issue and we were trying to get to the bottom of it, or their loved one passed away that was really close to them or living with them. We have multi-generational households. So the effects of a loved one being in a household that is no longer there can really affect the child. Or the parent is working 12 hours a day and now this child has shut down for some reason. And there's no reason why we should criminally hold parents accountable, because it had me down as neglect. So once I really truly figured out what this law truly was, I was neglecting my daughter's educational needs. And how can I neglect that when I'm trying to get her into some of the best schools possible? Part of the reason why I didn't want to be in LA, part of the reason why I was trying to, as they call, move on up, not necessarily thinking they were going to use my daughter's illness against me.
Absolutely not. Go ahead, Brother Don.
Yeah, real quick. What was it, a misdemeanor or a felony that you were charged? Okay, and how long did you have to stay?
It was a special warrant. They booked me and released me. So they took my picture, they booked me, they took my fingerprints, and then they released me. If my daughter didn't go to school that day, they was taking her from me. They were going to put her in CPS, the children's people. So yes, and they just told me to appear to court. And then I was appearing to court for 2.5 years, not really understanding what was going on to begin with.
Now, I saw a picture of you, them and you in handcuffs, and police walking you out of somewhere. And they looked like they were taking you down to the station to book you.
Mm-hmm.
Who called the media in to get that picture?
Well, the district set that all up. So it was not the district. Let me reframe that. My apologies. It was actually the DA of Orange County who set that up, because it was a truancy sweep. So they would put out a press release for the press to come out on the morning of that day for them to take our picture. So it was me and a couple of other parents that got swept away that particular day. It was that my case was a little bit special because I had a sick kid and I had documents.
And so it looks basically like so many people dropped the ball on you and your daughter. It's starting with the school administration in Orange County, starting with the law itself, with not allowing and having somebody to be able to go over and help you. One of the things in the minds of an educator, and if you're in the education system, it should be to help the child, help the parent be able to be educated. Now, something happened in 2000 that why didn't they send in an educator or the teacher to be able to teach your child when she may, if she was home or she wasn't maybe feeling well or to the hospital? Why wouldn't they send somebody there to be able to help her, to help you?
Well, the thing is, her hospital was in a different school district. And so, because she was in a different county, well, not different county, but a different district, that district where she was doing her hospital school in took credit for that attendance. And her district did not want to accept that attendance because they said it was already accounted for. It wasn't part of our district. So therefore, we're not going to take that.
So because they had all kinds of, she's in the same county, if I'm understanding, but she's in a different district. They couldn't work that paperwork out in order to give her credit for the work that she was doing while she was in the hospital.
Right.
That
So
sounds
all
like something internal to them that they should work out.
Well, I didn't find all of this out until, of course, after my arrest, while I was trying to research and put everything together to see how can actually before my arrest, because I actually challenged her attendance. So I found out that I can challenge her attendance, pull her cum record, um, do a letter to the superintendent, did all of that, got the meeting with the superintendent because initially she had 60 unexcused absences. So when I challenged her absences, I was able to get 40 of those absences overturned. The other 20 absences that they got me on was from the doctor exchange from when I was calling at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they didn't see it on the other side of the system. So it wasn't until I was trying to get all of the things of how and what happened that it was apparent that, oh, they didn't get this because it wasn't notated on the doctor side. It was on the exchange side, which is not a part of their main system. So I had to instruct the people who was answering the phone or make sure I called the following day for them to put it in the system that Shayla was home with me. So it wasn't until then because their systems wasn't integrated. And then we're speaking,
Okay,
we got to say this happened in 2012, so we wasn't as technology. You know how the systems are all connected today, but
right.
10 plus years ago that it wasn't as connected. I was the one that was doing the comprehensive communication and care for her.
And I have another follow up question that came through. Did they, do you, so all the press release, having you out there, having the other parents out there and doing the video, was that used to embarrass you, do you think?
It was out there to put people on notice because they had my hands pictured with the handcuffs on. They had me walking out. So it was just a whole political publicity stunt thing because I was shocked, to be honest with you. I thought when the investigators came to my house, because they had investigators come, I was in the midst of working with the district, or thinking I was working with the district, trying to get accommodations. I called the Sickle Cell Foundation to come in to have a meeting to help me explain to them what sickle cell was and is and what it can do and cause. From her old 504 stated that her attendance was affected due to her sickle cell. So it was documented thoroughly. I made sure that they put in her 504 that her attendance was affected due to her sickle cell. And none of that was ever given to the DA. I never heard anything when I was going through my trial. It was just seemed like it was just deaf ears, and me not knowing the criminal system because I was too busy taking care of my daughter. I don't just appear in people courtroom listening to court. I had to learn while I was there to understand the language, to understand what was going on, and everything was being done behind chambers. So a lot of the discussions wasn't happening in front of me, and it was just like time was going on, and I'm like, why is this taking so long? What is it? This should be clear, cut, and dry. Like, why is you contesting a federal document? Like, this is supposed to be a document that I'm supposed to advocate for my parents to get. How can I advocate for parents to say, go make sure you have this, if they can still come after you with having federal documents in place? It's like search and seizure without a warrant. Like, I have these documents and you still have the right to come and do this? What's the point of having it? What's the point of me fighting so hard to get these things in place if you can still come into my home and arrest me? You still came to my house and put them cold metal handcuffs on me. You made me look like I was a criminal. I was a bad mother. And all I'm trying to do is love and pour on my child. All I'm trying to do is make it work to become self-sufficient, to pay my taxes, work so 6 months out of the year so I can feel productive and not just taken from the system. My parents worked. My dad retired from Verizon for 40 years. He worked for GTE. And when it turned to Verizon, that's where he retired from. My mom and dad was married before they had me. I came from a foundation. My mom was the secretary of the church, and to be labeled something that I never thought possible would be is beyond me, even to this
Yeah,
day.
and what kind? I'm so sorry that that happened to you, and I'm actually trying to keep it professional
No problem.
and not getting my emotions in this too. And I'm sorry for the lighting. This is a
It's
terrible setup. But what kind of redress was offered to you for all of the time you spent in court, the embarrassment, the hurt for you and your daughter? Who from anybody from the attorney general to the district attorney in Orange County to the school? What was the redress when all of this came down? What happened? Did they anybody ever come to you and offer you any type of redress?
no, I couldn't even get anybody to help me outside of my attorney at the time. The NAACP wasn't there. The ACLU wasn't there. Anybody and everybody I can think of to call at the time wasn't there. All they will say, or any kind of advice that they will try to give me, was under the table. Don't tell nobody. Um, so that was pretty difficult for me. Like, why?
So you mean to tell me that the NAACP, the ACLU, all of these organizations that are pushing for everybody else, and they were organized and founded to be able to help people just like yourself, refuse to come in and help a single mom like you with a daughter that had sickle cell, which is one of the prominent diseases amongst the American freedmen people. None of
Right.
these people, none of these organizations that were set up for us by us, the Attorney General of California, nobody decided to come in after they had gotten their pound of flesh and press, decided to come in and help a single black woman, as they want to say, freedman woman, such as yourself and your daughter.
It was no help at all. And it's so crazy because, like I said, a lot of the information that I was getting was through my good old friend Google. And a good friend of mine was like, "You, Sheree, you need to sit down and Google yourself. Like, for real, for real." And it was literally right after I got out of jail. And she was like, "You need to Google yourself." And it was from that moment that I was like, oh, okay. Like, when I realized what was going on in a way. So that, to know and find out about all of these organizations that supported the bill to criminalize a parent, I don't think they truly understood it or realized like who it really affected. Because I have the Boys and Girls Club, I have so many organizations. It's just it hurts my heart.
let me
and including the YMCA.
And I want to jump in because, you know, the question was asked about, did the state compensate? Yeah. And, you know, our sister said no. So what we can do is we can support our sister. She has a GoFundMe up right now. And everybody that's watching this, let me see how many people we got watching so far. We have about 200 people watching, mostly from Twitter. If you're on the Twitter, okay, matter of fact, I'm going to put the link on the YouTube video on Twitter to the GoFundMe. Go to the link where I'm live streaming this at. Click on the GoFundMe. Let's support our sister. Y'all are listening to her harrowing detail. And one of the things that we do at Be the Power and United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen is we try to help our people when we can. You know, for those of you that have been following this platform for a while, you've seen what we did to help those families in Louisiana when Hurricane Ida stormed through there. And this is a hurricane of a different sort, right? This is a legal hurricane, one of those type of hurricanes that we're used to dealing with as a people. In fact, there's a movie called Hurricane about a brother who was falsely imprisoned, false charges, you know, just like this sister had placed on her head. So be sure to hit that link, man. I'm gonna put that in there again. Moderators, please make sure y'all snatching that link as well and making sure y'all share it out. I know people like to support our platform, but we're asking, hold your cash apps, or don't hold them, divert your cash apps from Be the Power, divert your super chats from Be the Power, send them over to our sister to help her and her daughter get through these harrowing times. My bad. Go ahead, sis. Go ahead, Sister Roz and Sister Cheree.
All right. All right now, Miss Peoples, I know people are having, from what I'm hearing, people are having a very difficult time. They're upset. And rightly so, right? Because you would think that the organizations or somebody could have stepped in and helped you and your daughter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge everybody that's listening, because after we get off here, I'm putting in $50. I want somebody to match my 50. Okay, match my 50. Don't let's. We always talk in our community about being about the work. Let's be about the work. This sister and her daughter need the help that she shared. She's going to share with me, because she's going to share with us. Um, how are you and your daughter right now? What's going on with you guys?
Well, Shayla just recently, like I stated, got out the hospital. It's been a battle. It's been a true battle, especially, you know, with COVID. I remember, especially during COVID, she and one of the administrators was having a talk and explained to her that she actually spent 200 days in the hospital that particular year, on and off, back and forth because of COVID. So, and then that year she turned 18, trying to transition from pediatric care to adult care. She needs a full hip replacement. Her hips, she has AVN, which is basically a vascular necrosis, and she's having a lot of pain in her hips. So with Shayla, it's been ongoing. Nothing hasn't stopped. Her care hasn't stopped. If not, I think it has progressed over time. So, you know, in age, she's her age, but her insides is more like a 60-year-old. I call her my old lady because she has old lady issues. And it's so funny because, like, she went to go get her nails done and we be laughing because she has this really cute connection with the senior community. And my daughter uses a cane, and you know, when she's having pain, she will utilize her cane. And she was getting her nails done, and me and her has this thing where we will go to the nail shop together, and that's our little bonding time. And this old little lady came in and she was like, "Oh, I see you have a cane too." And she said, "Yeah." She said, "I like your cane, I like yours too." And then we're just going back and forth, and she was like, "See, Mom, these ladies, they just love me." Because she finds a common denominator and they just attract to each other. And I'm just so proud of her and so grateful and thankful of her courage and what she had to endure, because she's the one that has to live with it. She's the one that has to endure it every single day, 24 hours a day. It'd be times where she said, Mom, I don't know what it's like to not be in pain. Pain is all I know. And that hurts my heart as a mother, because can you imagine as a mom, your child constantly in pain, but have to smile through it and has to, and that was part of the challenge too, because it's like, how can this pretty chocolate girl be in as much pain as she's saying? So a lot of it was just challenging the appearance of her, because naturally she is beautiful and I can't help her natural beauty, but she does not take away the fact that she suffers from one of the oldest hereditary disease in the world, which is sickle cell anemia. And it's very, very, very painful. I mean, at any given time, she can have an infection. I remember one time we were quarantined by the county of Orange because she had a TB-like infection. She was followed by the HIV and infection control disease doctors because of the infection. Infection is the number one cause of death with sickle cell individuals, not sickle cell itself. So it's like AIDS. AIDS doesn't kill you. It's the complications from the virus that actually kill you, whether it's pneumonia or something else. But 9 times out of 10, it's not the actual AIDS that actually kill you. And it's the same with sickle cell anemia. It's not the necessarily sickle cell, but the overall damage that the cells has caused due to the lack of oxygen in the body. So you go with a lack of oxygen to your bones, your heart, your arteries, or whatever, over time, it's going to die. And that's what's happening with my child.
Okay, here's a question that I want to ask you. Thank you, Josh. Gray. Have you ever felt the lack of attention or care to help rectify the injustice against you and your daughter, whether from civil rights organizations or government, had anything to do with not wanting to harm Kamala Harris's political aspirations?
Have you ever felt the lack of attention or care? I've always felt the lack of attention or care. Let me just make that perfectly clear, because, of course, how they frame sickle cell anemia. Okay. And that's just not in schools, but that's also at the hospital also. So let me just put that on blast too, because as a sickle cell patient, they're followed by hematologists and oncologists, which is on the cancer floor. So that itself is discriminatory, because we do not get the same services. We do not get the same care as the ones with the cancer patients, even though we share the same floor, the same doctors, the same rooms, but the treatment that we receive is totally different. It's very hard to advocate with sickle cell. I don't care where you are, where you at in the country. If you have a child with sickle cell, and because it's pain related, and pain is subjective. So what you may feel and what I may feel, and we both say it's a headache, is two different things. My headache may not be your headache, and vice versa. So it's like that within sickle cell, because these kids look normal, but yet you saying you in pain. You can't be in that much pain and I see you laughing, but yet they learn how to cover it up over time. So their pain, because they've been dealing with it for so long, is not going to look like me and your pain, where I may not be able to function, but she's been dealing with pain for 10, 11, 12 years. So she has learned over time how to deal. When you dealing with a headache for 3, 4 days, after a while, you kind of like, well, it ain't going to go away. Let me just go ahead and deal with it. So it's that. And it's a learning process. When I got arrested for truancy, she was a child. She was in elementary school. She had to learn how to speak the language, how she felt, and not just say, I hurt, Mom, it hurt, because they don't understand that. So it was a learning curve. It didn't take until she was 18, 19 years old until she truly understood what it is, even with having the stroke, because again, the stroke is in the brain, and I had to figure out how much piece of her brain had been damaged and destroyed due to the stroke. Right. So now her comprehension can be a little slower. Now the effects of the stroke, I have to think about what is the residual effects with sickle cell and the stroke. She has a higher rate of having another stroke due to her having a stroke also.
The first time.
Yes. So now she's on a blood transfusion regimen. Now she's dealing with iron overload. So it's like one issue on top of another, right? Because of the medication. All medications have side effects. It's not one medication that we can think of. Maybe Tylenol is on the lower scale, but it still has side effects. So we still have to deal with the overall effects of the blood transfusions. We have to deal with the overall effects of the narcotics. We have to deal with the overall effects of the bones dying. We have to deal with the overall effects of our whole entire body being shut down. So at the end of the day, this affects our whole body, and the fact that I still have to deal with that and still live a life and still try to work. And I had a son, he was 3 months old at the time that I got arrested. So here I'm still trying to navigate the system in a different way with dealing with the trauma that I went in with my daughter is a whole nother issue in itself.
Absolutely. Now, do you think they were ignoring you because somebody wanted to not hurt Kamala Harris's political aspirations?
I think they knew something that I just didn't know. They see the bigger. It's a small community. The being in the law field, lawyers, judges, it's a small community, so they understood the bigger picture. I'm a parent. I'm navigating multiple systems. I'm navigating the medical system, educational system, the not just her educational system, but mine's too, because I was in college. I'm trying to pursue my goals and aspirations, and then on top of the social services system. So I was being governed and navigated through multiple systems at the same time. All of this is happening simultaneously. So to try to, and one day is this call and one day is that call, and I just dealt with it as best as I could, especially being a young mother during that time, because I was a very young mom.
Well, you said something else that piqued my interest. You said also in your son. So she wasn't an only child. You had you have a son also that you had to be mother to his concerns and raise him and things of that nature. So
Yes.
yeah, how I mean I don't for me as a teacher, parents like you are like Wonder Woman. I don't know how you do what you do, but you're doing that for a purpose and a reason that's greater than what you can even see, greater than what we can see. I wanted to kind of go into a little bit, if you didn't mind, about some of the things that you had spoken to me about. Like, what are some of the things? What's one of the things that you're looking forward to doing from this point on that maybe our audience can help you with?
I look forward in creating what I'm calling like a 211 informational center for parents who have issues or questions regarding their insurance, their children diagnosis, and for them to get the help and resources that they need. Like I wish I would have had when I was coming up, not coming up, but going through this and what I was going through, to be able to have the support, whether it's dealing with the educational system, the medical system, so you can come up with a plan that works for you and your child, whether it's dealing with a 504, and to educate our parents so they can understand the language, because we can't walk into these rooms speaking our language. We have to understand the educational system language. We have to understand the language of the insurance that we're under. We have to understand the medical terminology, whether it's behavioral, whether it's medically sick, whether you're dealing with a learning disability. A lot of these peoples are still doctors. At the end of the day, they still have a PhD after their name. So we have to understand the language in which these professionals are speaking and understand our position as a parent to ensure that we can put something in place that we can be protected while we are working and navigating these different systems, because they are very complex. They're very complex systems and they're integrated systems. So my goal at the end of the day is to educate and create a network of systems to help our parents and in those time of need, so they can have somewhere to go and feel secure and protected the way I didn't.
Now, there's a question. Thank you, Bahi. Brother Bahi asked, did you personally know any of the other parents that were affected by Kamala Harris's truancy laws?
No, I didn't know any of the parents. I know they had me in a car with a parent, but I don't know them personally. My life was too intertwined with hospitals and doctors and trying to go to school, trying to do the right thing for my children. You know, my son was only 3 months old when I got arrested for truancy, and I was just focusing on making sure I had a roof over my head. I was homeless during my trial. I didn't have a place to stay. And it's crazy because I was even afraid to even let them know I was homeless because I didn't want them to use that against me and take my child away from me. And then she's in the hospital, had a stroke. I couldn't let the hospital know I'm homeless because then they wouldn't let her come home to me and put her in some kind of facility. And then I'm fighting the state to get her back. So it was multiple agencies that I had to think about, and really understanding by the grace of God that I was able to get us a place before they discharged her. I was working tooth and nails. So it wasn't time. I didn't have the time. My time was governing to make sure that my child stays healthy, make sure she stays alive. She had medications that had to be picked up every 12 to 14 days. I didn't have time for nothing else. I just wanted to go to school. I wanted to be productive like my parents. You know, my dad worked for Verizon. Outside of that, he only worked at McDonald's. Like he only had 2 to 3 jobs his whole entire life. So I wanted to be what my mom and dad was and contribute to society and be a part of a community that will love and embrace me. And that's just not what happened, you know, and that's the part that hurts me so bad because I wanted to be able to give my children the same thing my parents gave me, be able to go on vacations, be able to go out of the country, be able to travel, just be able to live the American dream. And I saw that through my parents, but that was not my adult life. And that's the part that hurts because I always just wanted to be able to be self-sufficient.
Are you still dealing? I'm not speaking of. Are you still having to go to court or deal with any of the legal issues that, like, as far as paying back lawyers or things of that nature that you're having to deal with today?
Well, I'm thankful that I don't have any of those things today that I'm aware of. Thank you, Jesus. Now that Shayla is an adult, enjoy. Now that she's an adult, a lot of it, well, technically, I could say yes in a way because it was during a time again I was going to be at risk being homeless, and there's laws where I cannot claim my hours when she's in the hospital sick. So when she spent half of the time in the hospital and half of the time at home, and I don't get all of my paycheck, it tends to put me in an overpayment, which I owe the government for because I have an overpayment. So now they deduct money out of my check because I have an overpayment during the time that she was sick.
Okay, that let me help with that. What you're saying, just to clarify, is that when Shayla goes, because you are actually taking care still of your daughter, you're your daughter's caretaker. And when
Yes.
she goes into the hospital, those are days that you don't get paid, and you have to, or they deduct it, or you have to pay that back because they say, okay, like say if she's in from Monday to Thursday, then those are 4 days out of the week that you do not get paid for taking care of her, even though you go to the hospital and you're still right there with her. Um, so but at the same time, the same state government, I think for California, according to fair.org, they're paying over $7,000 per month for people that are not citizens to come and stay in in the state of California. So they're not taking care of the citizens like Miss Peoples and her daughter Shayla, but they're cutting big checks for at $7,000+ a month, according to fair.org. Please go there and check out the for the audience. Please go to fair.org and check out their calendar for last year. They're paying over $7,000 for people that are illegally in the country and not taking care of ladies like this that are citizens that should be reaping benefits. Let that sink in for a little bit. Um, so here's a question: how long did you have to fight your case before it got rectified, or did it ever get rectified?
I don't know if you call dropping the charges rectified, because that didn't rectify for me, but it took 2.5 years for the judge to come and say, Miss Peoples, if you can prove that she will be in school, we will drop your charges. So that took technically 2.5 years before my case actually got dropped. So I
What
was in
year was
court
that?
actively. I want to say that was her freshman year in high school. No, was it our freshman year in high school? So I want to say I got arrested in 2013, 14, 15. So it was 16, I want to say. 2016,
2016.
somewhere around there, because for about 6 months I went through a period in which things kind of shifted, and they wanted me to plead guilty with no contest, and they wanted me to go through parenting classes. I was talking to it was just a hot mess, and I guess because I kept telling them no, 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 I'm not pleading guilty with no contest, I'm not pleading to nothing, we gonna have this trial, y'all got me set for trial, let's pick these people. Because every single time I went to court, in my mind, I'm thinking we about to pick these 12 jurors. I'm ready to get on this. Like, I have nothing to hide. So whatever questions they want to ask me, I'm willing to give it to you, because I have nothing to hide, period. So therefore, it's like, I didn't understand why I had to go through it for 2.5 years. Why did it take the judge to say, okay, just bring her cum in saying that she's enrolled in school, and then we will drop your charges? So from that happened in June, I had to wait the whole summer until she went back to school to get her class schedule to show that she was enrolled in school for them to dismiss my case. So I didn't get nothing after that. No reparations, no money, no nothing. It was just, that was it. I went to court, showed them her thing. They dropped it. I didn't hear nothing since. I thought like, oh, the media was going to be there, since they had me on the media when it first came. Since it took all this time, it was just weird. I didn't truly understand what was going on until 2019. It took some time for it to kind of manifest until she made it all the way up to trying to run for president back in 2019.
Now in 2020, as something happened across the country, we had the pandemic, and they found a way for kids to be educated at home on a computer. And here they are in your county, in a different district of the same county, having no kind of setup that they could have come up with to in order to communicate with one another. So I just want everybody that's listening right now, Naeem, can you put up the GoFundMe for that? And like I said, I'm putting up $50. Can I want y'all, to match my donation. And the reason I'm saying that is because sickle cell anemia doesn't go away. It just doesn't go away. She has, um, Sister Peoples has, it's not like she has aspirations that are massive, that are huge. And the reason I think, sister, that you're going through this and have gone through this, both you and your daughter have gone through this, is because it's something great that you're able to deal with that nobody else can. It's a
Oh,
special purpose for you. We
it
talked
has
about
been,
this.
yes, and it has been a true blessing, to be honest. I can't even lie. And people be like, I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry for me, because God has put this in my heart. And I'm very excited about Tiny's Place, because that's where I want to be able to help at-risk youth and parents, to get them the support that they need so they can feel loved and supported, to be able to help other young medically impaired individuals so they can feel independent in society. So I'm very, very excited. I want to be able to collaborate with others so we can be able to smush and squash this criminal side of truancy. So I am the type of person that I'm not here to bash anybody. That's not my position. I'm here to educate. I'm here to get people to understand how policy is governed, get people to understand how policy is intertwined in the educational code. And I know that other parents can be affected by this, because there are people who have been and got in trouble for their children's behavior, and they're going to be holding parents accountable. So I just want people to be aware of these things, be aware and understand what your children is going through, because I know not too long ago, some parents was held accountable for their children doing a school mass shooting. And they were held accountable. The DA brought up criminal charges on those parents, and they were found guilty of manslaughter. So again, if you're not taking action, if you're not taking accountability, I was taking action. I was doing what I was needed to do. But again, not everybody do. So I want people to understand that it's very important to be involved, to go to the school meetings, to volunteer when you can, because I did those things still, and still did not know they were looking at me as a truant parent. So I was just thankful that I did go through this, that I was able to be able, because without a test, you have no testimony. And that's one thing that my mom taught me, because you can't help others if you ain't been tested, because they're not going to listen to you if you ain't been tested. So I'm just thankful for my testimony, so I can be able to help others, help inspire others, be what they want to be, regardless of what they're going through, because that is a mantra that me and my daughter live up to. It's called Just Be You. And it's JUSSBEE with the letter U. And don't ever forget that. Always be you, no matter what you're going through.
Yes,
All
indeed.
right. Go ahead, Brother Naeem.
I mean, I'm just sitting here and I'm listening. It's very inspiring. And the sister is dropping bombs. Ibrahim was like, wait, make her repeat that. I think she said they continued her case until Kamala was ready to run for what office?
Senator.
Senator.
I wanted to say it was Senator, yes, because they dragged and this is the thing that I realized too over time. My case went for 2.5 years. And a lot of things in legal proceedings, you're timed. Your time in which you're notified of the situation and how long you have for your tort. Again, these are words that I had to learn in order to figure out how can I hold anybody responsible for what happened to me. And my tort time ran out, which means it's the time allotted for you to sue the government or sue whoever that caused harm to you. And because my case was held up for so long, by the time I realized, I was already torted out. I was timed out. And it just took a good friend of mine to have a sit down with me to say, Cheree, do you really think you can go through court for another 7 to 10 years? Because they're going to challenge you. They're going to appeal it. They're going to do whatever they can to drag it out for another 7 to 10 years. Do you think you can handle that? And at that time, I just knew I couldn't. I just couldn't. And I just had to figure out a better way to make it work and not do it in anger, not do it in frustration, but do it in a way of love, honor, and respect. Because at the end of the day, that's what I'm about. And I'm not here to bash. I'm here to educate. I'm here to let people know about policy, the difference between a SB policy, which is a Senate bill, in which what she did to get pushed through the state, because it wasn't something that is what I call a people policy, what we vote for, when we have propositions for, that's a people policy. But whenever you have government officials in place pushing policy without a people's vote, it's something completely different. That is not the same, because now all she needs is the support of people in power in order to push the law. That's what happened.
And that right, that wasn't something that the people asked for nor demanded. That's something that she's like, well, how can I get the kids to go to school? Well, I'll punish their parents.
Technically, she said that it was an economic issue. So the fact that her first thing about the Truancy initiative is that it's an economic issue. The fact that these kids is not going to school, we're losing money, and we need to figure it out to get their butts back in school. We're going to threaten the parents. At the end of the day, it was an economic thing, and that's what she said. She did this initiative because it was an economic issue. I was part of the problem because of money.
That's interesting, because I want to play this next clip, and let me know how your time looking, sis. But that is, like, for me, my question that I want to get to, and it centers around money. Boy, I hope this is the right clip, because I got two of them. So let's play this real quick.
When I created this program, people said to me, what are you doing? You're supposed to be locking people up, not letting them out. People said to me, why are you giving them jobs? Other people want jobs who haven't committed a crime. This mass incarceration system has to be ended. And that's why, you know, as president, for me, it's about ending mass incarceration. It's about holding law enforcement accountable, both prosecutors, police and prosecutors, because people talk about police, but also prosecutors.
Right.
And it's about what we need to do to take the profit out of the prison system with these for-profit prisons.
Yeah.
And the profit out of the whole system around bail and money bail, which means that people are sitting in jail every day simply because they don't have enough money to get out. But people who have money for the same offense are walking around free. That's economic justice as well, criminal justice, right?
Yes, no doubt about it.
So these are the things.
So listening to that, after hearing our sister Cheree say what she just said about Kamala speaking to this issue about this being an economic issue, that we're going to lock parents up, particularly parents that fall at the lower income scale of the spectrum. And I wanted to know if you, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe doing my research on this, she modified an existing law to add a $2,500 fine onto it. I'm of the understanding, based on some of the research that I've done, that there were well-off parents that could pay this $2,500 easily, and their children were, and I don't know this part, and I'm just guessing here, their children were able to skip those days of school just so long as the parents can pay that $2,500, whether it was up front or on the back end. Can you explain a bit about that? How did that work? What were some of the things that you heard about people that could afford to pay that $2,500 fine?
The thing is, they would never have to pay the fine because they're already paying the school a whole lot of money. They're already making the donations to the school. So therefore, they're not an economic problem. You understand? You see the difference? So it's not a fact if they can pay the fine. So why would the school submit their kid name when they already paid? They don't have to.
Pay to play.
They already paid. Right. They can pay for the doctor's notes. They probably got a family doctor already in place getting ready to write the note for them. So it's a whole different game ball when you have the money. You ain't looking. Matter of fact, you are the police officer and the court and the judge sending your kid to school. Like, they're professionals. So why wouldn't they have the means to pay the school, donate their time, donate some money? Like, the school ain't needing for nothing. But on the other hand, when you have parents that are working or middle class, and whether they're on government assistance or not, the working class is just as affected. Because guess what? You got to go to work, and you can't miss too much work, but you got all these appointments you got to go to. You got a SARB meeting you got to do. You got court every 2 weeks. You tell me what job you're going to be able to take off all that time for, because that's during normal business hours. That's not outside of business hours. That's not including doctor's appointments that I was still having to attend to. So I was going from doctor's appointments to court, had to take my daughter to court with me just to get to her doctor's appointment on time. Wow. So who to say I wanted to take her to court, but I had no choice this particular day, that I know how at that time how the system was working. Right? Because I was there for so long, I can kind of figure out, okay, what time my lawyer is going to come in, what time they're going to call my case, X, Y, and Z. So I knew I can be out either right after lunch come in or right before lunch. So if they call my case before lunch, then I'm good. If I have to come back after lunch, then I may be leaving by 2 o'clock. So sometimes it's, once you're in the system for a minute, you can really figure some stuff out just by paying attention. And I was one good observer. I was in that courtroom by myself, and I was one good observer. So I sat in my seat. I knew where I was going to sit at. I'm not sitting in the back. I wasn't scared of them prosecutors. You're going to look at me dead in my face and in my eye, because I got this paper in black and white right here that said I was not guilty. And I held on to that and stayed my course, and couldn't nobody tell me nothing different.
And so now it seems to me like from the clip and from what we've spoken with you about, she's flip-flopping from where she was with you as the California Attorney General. into where she is trying to say now in that particular interview that she's looking out for those that can't afford. It's that's very that's it. I mean, and to not call and have some kind of redress is ridiculous. I mean, I'm just saying what others were saying. Yeah, 2.5 years of hell going downtown to court, waiting, paying for parking, going through metal detectors with a daughter who's sick
Yes, ma'am.
and in pain
Yes, ma'am.
and in pain.
Yes, ma'am. It was a and all of the time I was homeless, I was going back and forth because of my income and losing my job. At that time, it put me in a place of having to move into the motel, but I made it home. I made the best out of the worst situation, and I just knew that God had me. And while it was crazy because I recently found a video of my daughter in a severe pain crisis right before her stroke. It was the last time that I had my daughter fully functional before her stroke.
Wow. So, Sister Roz, I don't know if you have any more questions. I think our souls have been touched by our sister Cheree's testimony here today. We have a troll in the chat. I want to pull this comment up because every once in a blue, you gotta look at what the trolls are saying. This troll is disregarding this sister's story because obviously this troll is a Kamala Harris supporter. And she's saying, come on, everything is about money. Is this a Trump channel? No, this is a justice channel, and I've made sure to let her know that in the chat. This is a channel that's about justice. This is a channel about transparency. This is a channel where you're going to get the truth. And we don't cape for no political candidates over here unless we're running those candidates. Shout out to our brother Marcel Dixon that's running down in South Carolina against Jim Clyburn. Other than that, we don't cape for candidates. We don't cape for political parties. We're going to tell our story. And if Donald Trump was some state AG or senator that passed and pushed draconian laws and had our people perk walk in front of the cameras for all to see, embarrassing them, we would be talking to those people as well. So no, this is not a Trump channel. This is not a Kamala, a Democrat, or a Republican channel. This is a channel about justice. This is a channel about Freedman family. So I don't think this person is familiar with our channel, but she just gave us the opportunity to plug what our channel is about. Thank you, troll person. So, Sister Cheree, thank you again for coming through and sharing your story. Sister Roz, did you have anything else you want to ask or say before we, let our sister go?
I just wanted to thank you for your time. You gave us a great hour and a half of your time today, and we'll be in touch. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna put the challenge out, and I want you guys to really match. If you can't match my 50, then if you can match 5, then give her 5, because this lady, Miss Peoples, has great things for our community that she's doing. I'm pouring into her because she's going to pour back into our community. So look at it that way. And if you can't accept the fact that this sister here, me, is pouring into another younger sister, her, Miss Peoples, that's pouring all out for others, then you're not about this life. This is for our people. This people is for our people, the freedmen, and she's going to give back. So the reason why I put the challenge out is to pour into her. You can go into the site after we finish this. Give me a few little. Go into that Miss Cheree People's Journey site, and you will see my name. I'm gonna put my name up there. Okay, because I'm an educator, and the only reason I do it is for my people. Okay, I do it for my people, And Miss Cheree Peoples is doing it for her daughter and the people. Okay?
That's right.
So it's disheartening to hear another black woman put down the efforts that black women are making for our black or freedmen community. It's very disappointing. And I'm disappointed in that sister that posted that. But hopefully she'll learn that we're not playing games over here.
That's right.
This is our life. We're not playing these kind of silly games. So, sister, I hope that you pour into Sister Cheree Peoples also. If you're about that life, pour into her.
That's right. If you giving money to Kamala's campaign, you could give money to our sister Cheree. Point blank, period.
Oh, thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys so much. It has been such a pleasure being able to tell my story because again, I'm not trying to bash anybody. This is not bashing. I'm just want to tell my story on how this policy has really affected me, how it affected my daughter, the things that we went through. I want to educate people about sickle cell so they can understand how it truly affect her, but not just her, but the family, because we all went through it. My son goes through it. He thought it's normal to be in the hospital, and that's not normal, but we spend our time together as a family because that's important to me. But I just want to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you for giving me the platform and the opportunity to tell my story, because I always want you to remember to just be you.
All right
Yes.
now. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you, ma'am.
Yes. That's right. Thank you, sister. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, again, when I first heard your story, and I'm not going to give no long ending. When I first heard your story a couple years ago, I was as angered as some of the people are in the chat that's hearing it for the first time. And it was one of those stories that stuck with me. Right. I was saying your name wrong for years until I talked to you the other day.
Most people do. That's
You
why I
know,
say just call me Miss Peoples.
you know.
It tends to
So
be a little tricky.
and but when I mention it, you know, I've mentioned your name and Matrice Richardson and Jamal True Love, and there's another brother I can't ever really remember his name, but he was affected by Kamala's office and their aggressive prosecution. And for the most part, man, these were innocent people. And I don't believe that she has ever rectified those things. You know, people, they bring up Trump and they talk about the ad that he took out in the paper for the Central Park. I remember going through that we wasn't rocking with him for none of that stuff. And we just gonna keep it official. But now we want to ignore this. Now we want to make up excuses. Oh, you know, everybody's about money, yada, 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 and forgetting the what you just heard for the past hour and a half, a testimony of pain. And it is the life of the freedmen in this country. We are forged in this fire a certain type of way. And it, you know, it's my bias saying this, but I believe that it makes us stronger than any other people on this planet. I really, really do. And I want to thank you, Sister Cheree, for coming on. Your beautiful daughter Shayla. I pray Allah that she gets well and she's, you know, healed. As we know about sickle cell. I had a family member that got sickle cell. So I think probably everybody got somebody in the family that got sickle cell somewhere. And you know, we just send our prayers to you, man, and you will be receiving United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen donation as well in that GoFundMe. Again, family, y'all make sure y'all support our sister. And you know, I'm gonna let our sister go, and we're gonna get up off of here in a few minutes. Again, Miss Peoples, it was great having you on, sharing your story. If you ever need to come on and give any updates to us and the family, please reach out to myself. Reach out to Sister Roz, and you know, we'll be happy to have you come back on. And you know, the initiative that you're pushing, right? Once that gets up and going, I almost made the mistake. It will. That's right. I almost made the mistake. It will.
You know, it will, because that is my goal. I want to be able to decriminalize the truancy, and hopefully we can come together. I'm not saying I'm not willing to work with Kamala, because that's what I want to do. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we need to come together and be able to demolish this criminal aspect of truancy.
That's right. That's right. And when that happens, we would love to have you back on this platform so you can give that testimony as well. So thank you, sis. Thank you, Sister Roz. Thank you, Sister Roz, for coming through. You know, I had to bring my sisters on. No doubt, no doubt. Sometimes we do our interviews, but when we have the sisters on, I like to bring the sisters on to interact with the sisters. It, you know, I think the balance is there. You know, we're a family-oriented group over here, and that's the way that we build ourselves as a family. And Roz, we're family. You know, we've been knowing each other for the past few years, and we got family all across this nation. There's a whole lot of us. So, and we coming. Oh, you best know for a fact that we are coming. So again, thank you, Sister Cheree, and to the family. I'll leave you all with the motto of our platform, and that is, don't just fight the power, become the power, and then and only then will you have the power to make a change. And with that, I say peace.